Hey, what's going on, guys? My name's Dynasty. What I got for y'all today yet again is another Injustice 2 video. Now, today we're doing another top 5 video. It's going to be the top 5 debuting characters I'd like to see inside of Injustice 2. So characters that were not inside the first game, but characters that I think have a really good chance to actually make the Injustice 2 roster. Now, before we get into my top 5 list, I want to say thank you guys so much for the recent support. In my last video, I said if you got 500 likes, I'd have another top 5 video. So here it is. Let's go for it again, guys. If we can get 500 likes on this video, I'll do another top 5 video for Injustice 2 sometime this week. So with that said, let's break down my top 5 list and let's get into it. So first things first, this list is not like in any particular order. All 5 of these characters I love, so don't freak out if the character you like is not at the number 1 spot. Like, take a chill pill. This is just a way for me to give you 5 characters. So first things first, at the number 5 spot, it's none other than Static. Now, I picked Static on my list for a couple of reasons. For one, I think he's a great character, somebody that I grew up watching in the Static Shock TV series way back in the day. You guys might have watched it. If not, go check it out. I'm sure there's some episodes uploaded on YouTube somewhere. But back inside of Injustice 1, we also had a character that was known for using electricity, and that was none other than Shazam. But because of spoilers, be careful here if you not played the first campaign for some reason, Superman actually kills Shazam inside the story mode, so I think it's safe to say, unless I'm being completely blindsided here, I don't think Shazam is going to make a return inside of Injustice 2. I could be wrong, but if he does not make a return because he is dead, we see him get killed, Superman kills a child, you now need a character to fill that void in Injustice 2 who uses electricity as like their main ability, their main trait, hence you throw in Static himself. Now, Ed Boon has actually acknowledged this idea in the past as well right here. Bam! Somebody asked, would you ever consider Static Shock for Injustice 2? And of course his response was, he is actually in our Injustice 1 mobile app smiley face. And that's true, guys. You can actually use Static right now if you have like an iOS device, Android device. You can actually use him in the game, and he looks pretty sick as well. And even dating back to like the first Injustice 1 DLC days, there is an unofficial DLC voting poll that Boon had right here. Bam! You can see Static Shock was listed. He actually got second place in the voting to Zatanna, who obviously became a DLC character back in the day. So Static has been a character in demand for years now. So if Shazam doesn't make a return because he is dead from the looks of things, why not fill that void with a character who uses similar traits as what Shazam would do, you know, using electricity, you know what I mean? So that's my choice for my number 5 spot. Moving on to the number 4 spot, it is none other than the most requested character I think ever in like the history of Injustice games. Red Hood, Jason Todd, number 4 spot. Now, there's been a bit of controversy because obviously this guy is like the most notorious, most wanted character in like the history of Injustice, but now that we saw Deadshot get revealed, a ton of people were like, okay, well, you can't have both Deadshot and Jason Todd, Red Hood inside Injustice 2, and I'm like, wait a second, that's not true because both of these characters could actually have like their own unique playstyle, though they both share similarities because they have guns, I guess, you know what I mean, they have guns, they must fight the same. Like, no, that's not true. You got Deadshot, who's more of a marksman, assassin, he has like his own arsenal, you know what I mean, he's not just limited to shooting 2 pistols. Like, this guy can be a projectile-based character, very similar to, obviously, Deathstroke back in Injustice 1. Keep him a character that keeps his distance, uses all his, like, rifles, his guns, you know what I mean? Like, just keep him the weapon guy. Make Jason Todd, Red Hood, the up-close and personal, the brawler, the guy who still has his 2 pistols and can shoot some guns, but he's more of a command grab guy. He uses his combat knife during his combo, so have them be parallels to each other because, I mean, if you don't do that, then they really are going to fight the same. So I think another Studios does that. It'll be great because it'll be the best of both worlds. You got Deadshot, the guy who keeps his distance and shoots his guns, and you also got Red Hood, Jason Todd, who's up close and personal, still has guns, but is a brawler, punches you, does command grabs, and that would be so sick. And as a matter of fact, in the middle of making this video, I mean, Boon has acknowledged the want for Red Hood in the past so many times, but just right now, Boon tweeted out this, bam, which do you want to see the most in Injustice 2? And of course, they're listed, you got Robin, you got Nightwing, and last but not least, you got none other than Red Hood. Then previously, months ago before this, Boon actually came out and said this right here, bam, the Joker was also a Red Hood before Jason Todd took the name. So, which should we do in Injustice 2? Then from there, he actually had his own unique voting poll where he said, which Red Hood do you think should be in Injustice 2? And with 81% of the votes, Jason Todd won over the Joker. He followed up by saying, 15,000 spoke with no reason why. Looks like Red Hood Joker, he's no man's buy. So Ed Boon acknowledging the voting poll where we all voted to see Jason Todd inside of Injustice 2 over the Red Hood version of the Joker. So the fan demand is there, and even going back to the old unofficial, official voting poll I showed you earlier for Static, you can see Red Hood got 3rd place in that voting poll. So for years, this man has been requested to be inside of NetherRealm Studios game, and hopefully inside of Injustice 2, he finally gets his mark on the main roster. However, moving on to my 3rd character that I want to see make their debut for Injustice 2, it's none other than Captain Cold. Now, for every character reveal so far, like every trailer really for Injustice 2, for a very split second, of course, we see his cold gun on display, and it's so crazy because it's literally like in every single trailer, not to mention inside that promo t-shirt way back in the day during the summer, his cold gun is also on that t-shirt, so all signs indicating right now that Captain Cold is going to be inside this game, unless they're just completely fooling us. But Captain Cold is a character I want to see so bad because inside of Injustice 1, we had a character that was known for like freezing and using ice, and that was obviously Killer Frost. However, she was very insignificant. I think she had like one cutscene for like a split second. Not even kidding, you're using Green Arrow, you run into her, you beat her, and like that's it. That's your entire role inside the Injustice 1 campaign. It was so lame, so I'm hoping if Captain Cold is inside this game, he plays a much larger and significant role. You guys do know, I love Sub-Zero. He was my main inside of Mortal Kombat X, so the thought of having another character who uses ice and freezes people like Captain Cold with his cold gun, I'd be so stoked for that. Not to mention in the past, Ed Boon has acknowledged Captain Cold as well. Back in 2015, he said this, bam! Should Captain Cold be inside of Injustice 2? From there, just recently, he said, who do you most want to see in Injustice 2? And though he got the least amount of votes out of the 18,000, he is still a character listed, which means Ed Boon is open to adding him inside the roster, and that has me so excited. So guys, like I mentioned earlier, I think all signs are pointing to him actually being inside this game, and if he is, best believe your boy Dynasty is going to main him and hopefully free some of you guys and play just like Sub-Zero played back in Mortal Kombat X. But moving on to the 4th character I'm looking forward to seeing make their debut inside of Injustice 2, it's none other than the Teen Titan himself, Beast Boy. Now, Beast Boy is a character that I think has a ton, and I mean a ton of potential for Injustice 2. Just think about it, guys. For instance, what if he can transform into like 4 or 5 different animals, and as he turns into these animals, each one of them has like its own unique playstyle, its own combos, its own special moves. That would be so sick. Limit him to like transforming once or twice per match, and that would give him a chance to like mix things up here and there against his opponent. It'd be so sick. And just think about it, guys. Beast Boy, the animations, seeing him transform into the animal on this next-gen consoles, the graphics would be so sick. NetherRealm Studios even gave out like a Teen Titans skin pack in the first Injustice game, so it's apparent they love Teen Titans. They gave us, of course, a couple of them inside the first game as well. Give us Beast Boy, give us Starfire, and I guarantee you'd get absolutely no complaints. Not to mention, though, somebody actually asked Boon this not too long ago. Bam! Beast Boy, and of course his response was, could be very cool. So even Ed Boon thinks the idea of having Beast Boy in this game would be pretty sick. So guys, Beast Boy is my 2nd selection for the top 5 characters I want to see make their debut inside of Injustice 2. Now moving on to the prized possession. The number 1 spot of my top 5 characters that make their debut inside of Injustice 2 belongs to none other than Swamp Thing. Now, Swamp Thing has been my favorite character growing up for years now. As a matter of fact, I actually enjoyed the cheesy and corny animated series. I've read the comics, and Swamp Thing is a character I've just really wanted to see for a very long time, dating back to the official DLC voting poll for Injustice 1. I showed you guys earlier. Bam, this one. He actually got 4th place, which is kind of a bummer back in the day because I really want to see him in the first game, but if he's not inside the first game, gotta put him in the second game. Not to mention, I think Ed Boon is actually a fan of the character as well, because back in 2015, somebody said this, bam, I'm starting a petition to put Swamp Thing in Injustice 2. And of course, his response was, where do I sign? From there, even more recently, of course, he had that recent voting poll where he said, who do you most want to see in Injustice 2? I voted for Swamp Thing. He got 35%, 2nd place. He didn't get the W, but he did get 2nd place, and that has to count for something, right? Not to mention another tweet right here, bam, somebody said a reminder, Ed Boon, for you not to forget about Swamp Thing and Poison Ivy in Injustice 2. And of course, his response was, nice. And that is like the only thing I'm afraid of, guys, because if Poison Ivy is inside of Injustice 2, there's no Swamp Thing. If Swamp Thing is inside of Injustice 2, chances are there's no Poison Ivy. Both these characters have a very similar share of abilities, so like you'd guess, it'd kind of be pointless to put 2 characters with the exact same playstyle into a game like Injustice 2. It'd be a wasted slot for the character roster, so for me, I'm kind of just like, oh my god, I like both characters, but I love Swamp Thing. I'm just trying to think, man. seeing Swamp Thing in action inside of this game would be so sick. Just think about it, guys. He can actually just control a bunch of plants, the vines on his arms. He can like strangle his opponents with vines coming out of his hands. You know what I mean? It'd be so sick. He can actually like probably teleport into the ground, come out behind his opponent. You know what I mean? So he has so many different abilities. He has super strength. He'd be like a bigger character, like kind of like a Solomon Grundy, I'd imagine. So I really want to see Swamp Thing inside of Injustice 2 because it would be so sick. The animation, seeing this guy just transform and decompose, I would just, guys, I'd cry. I would cry. I'd honestly cry. I'd be so happy. But guys, that is all I got for y'all today. Those are my top 5 characters I want to see debuting for Injustice 2, Static, Red Hood, aka Jason Todd, Captain Cold, Beast Boy, and Swamp Thing. I try to be reasonable, picked characters that have been mentioned by Ed Boon that we've seen in voting polls, and I think it's a pretty decent list. I didn't pick any females. Maybe I'll actually make like a top 5 female characters I want to see debut inside of Injustice 2. Actually, that's a really great idea. I might do that really soon. But guys, hopefully you did enjoy this video. If you did, please drop a like on it. Of course, I want to know your opinions. Did you like my list? Did you hate my list? Did you like half my list? Let me know all that stuff in the comment section below. And of course, subscribe for some more Injustice 2 content. Till next time, I've been your host. I've been Dynasty. You guys have a great day. And I'll see you guys later. Peace.